They also flower on these small shoots. These are usually the first ones to flower in fruit.
Okay.
And then they will sometimes die after they have fruit. But the long, thin shoots like those that go up.
Yeah.
So those, what's happening is if you bend those down, so there's auxins are produced, right?
There's a branch that looks like it bends.
Yeah, something's...
So the auxins are produced in the top leaves, on these end leaves.
Yeah.
And it inhibits bud break, right? So it's inhibiting all the buds from breaking up there.
Yeah.
But if you bend it down, now there's no gravity, right? And if you cut the very end off, you've removed the factory of auxin. And then it releases those buds. And if the wood is, we found if the wood is about 4 months old, it's capable of flowering, which is unusual. The other thing is the different types of wood. So I showed you small wood that flowers and fruits like these. So this stuff here. See these small branches that flower and fruit early? That's one type of wood. Then there's those long shoots that flower and fruit. And then you'll see fruit see the coming out of the trunk, out of the major limb there. See the fruit? You don't even come off the trunk. The other thing it can do is it has a tissue. So it has tissue at the base of the shoots, right? So you see this tissue here? This is capable of flowering. And sometimes you'll see flowers here and fruit here, and that tells you, okay, this is this tissue. And so what you can do is, like if I wanted to induce this to bloom, I can come in and I'll cut just above it, maybe a ½ an inch, maybe even a little less. Cut this off, all these off. And it releases the buds here and it'll flower and fruit. So you can have a branch that's just covered with fruit. You have to be a little bit careful. Sometimes if there's too much of a fruit load, that branch will die afterwards. Not always. So I usually leave a couple of what I call nurse shoots. Leave those on because they're supplying the energy, for repair. Of course, the trees don't look good right now. It's been cool. Carambola trees don't like temperatures below 68. And the reason you see the red dots and the chlorosis and all that is that when the temperature drops below about 68, or when the soil temperature drops below 65, they can't take up water and nutrients.
Yeah.
And so that's why you see the leaves like this.
Yeah.
Right?
Citrus would even do that in California.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So compare the leaves that are exposed to the sun, like these, right? So you see how they're cupping or they're hanging down?
Yeah.
Compare that to this. In the shade. And it has to do with light levels and heat load and all this. Now this is showing iron deficiency, but you can see the leaves are much more functional here and doing much better. Another thing you can do that I've done, in fact you'll see it, is
wax jambu. 5 varieties.
Aggressive, beautiful flowers, beautiful tree. The fruit is nice. The thing about it is that if you really want commercial fruit, you need to thin it. And you need to thin it when it's really small, first fruit set. If you wait, it's not going to get as big as it could. But if you do thin it, you can get bigger fruit. And if you've been in Asia, I've been there where they took the mature fruit and they put it in an ice bath and then put a popsicle stick on it.
It's that big. Wow.
It was it's like this big.
Wow.
Excellent. Just absolutely
I'm
excellent.
with a few trees in there. Look at them about that big.
Yeah.
And,
And this is another one, water and fertilizer, mulch, organic or conventional fertilizers, whatever, really, but controlling the size of this tree. I mean, this is 2003, and you can see the size of that trunk. It's 20 years, but it's more like a 40-year trunk.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just...
Yeah.
So, you can see I've hacked it a bunch of times. But between the trees, you can see it's lost its canopy because there's too much shade. And I really can't keep them individual. I mean, it's just... If you hacked them enough to keep them individual trees, there wouldn't be any fruit. So or there'd be much less. Different varieties of avocados.
70 varieties.
it's mostly to have a collection, and it's available germplasm.
Yeah.
We haven't evaluated all of them because some of them are from collections that were brought in. Actually, from Norris and Richard, we got quite a few varieties from them from their trips, and they're in here as well. The missing trees are laurel willow.
Okay.
And so we have some to replant for sure.
And this is their avocado collection. I don't know if that was said, but I cut the
This is
camera
our
on late.
old collection. So this collection to our north, we call it our old fruit collection, was started in the 1930s.
Oh,
This
okay.
station opened in 1929.
Oh, geez.
So this was started in the 30s. A lot of these trees are seedlings. These are Lenz Brewster trees. So apparently somebody, Lenz, made a selection of Brewster and they planted a bunch. There's
Okay.
longans, a whole bunch of things.
Okay.
Believe it or not, the rows were originally, instead of east-west, were north and south.
Oh.
But they were so close together. Now you see a lot of trees missing. It's hurricanes. And things
Okay,
like that.
okay.
But we've kept it. You know, we're not really doing much with it other than it's, you know, just holding on to the germplasm.
I've heard Brewster isn't a single tree; it's a handful of trees. I forget who told me that, but it was. There's a
probably-
little bit more variety in the genes, so.
So there was probably selections made within Brewster. That's why this is called Lenz Brewster.
Yeah.
So somebody probably grew a Brewster seedling, and their last name was probably Lenz, and they. I'd have to look it up. But
Okay.
I do know some of these are Lenz Brewsters.
We're entering the mango collection.
Okay, so yeah, this is our mango collection. It's got 150 varieties, and it was started. I think this was started in, again, like 75 or 80. We lost probably over half of it in Andrew.
Oh, geez.
In 92.
Okay.
And so we keep adding stuff. This is some of the Gary's stuff. We have most of his stuff here
Okay.
as well.
Gary'sville.
You know, you see all the grass growing and all that. It's not because we're crummy at growing or sloppy. It's because by letting the native and invasive weeds grow during the fall and the winter and the spring, we're building up the native pollinators.
Okay.
And we did a study, and others have done studies as well. Turns out, you know, with mangoes, at least here, it's really not honeybees that is doing a lot of the pollination.
Okay.
It's actually flies
Okay.
and thrips and some other flying insects.
Okay.
And so by leaving this, we're building up that population because the work that's been done in other places has shown a combination of honeybees and the native pollinators that get better fruit set
Okay.
than
Okay.
if it's just the bees or just the native pollinators. So that's sort of the idea. So I tell the guys, once we finish harvesting, do not go in there and mow. We won't mow this until after fruit set.
Okay.
Then we can go in and mow.
Is that in the literature too for people to? Is there anything that they can find online? Sort of.
Well, yeah. So some of this has been published.
Okay.
But that recommendation is, yeah, it's been published.
Okay.
But I don't think it's widely published as it
Okay.
should be.
All right.
Yeah,
If I can find a
I've done
link, I'll
paper
put
on
it in.
but we need to put it in like EDIS.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that'd be good to read.
Yeah, so yeah. That's the other invasive. See that vine growing on the top of this tree here? That cysis vine?
Oh yeah.
And that's another nightmare.
Yeah.
We're always going through and pulling out the